Right, all. Hello. Welcome to the Smartabase Human Performance webinars. We want to welcome you all for coming on board. Just want to do a quick sound check. Carolyn, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Fantastic. So today we just wanted to firstly extend our well wishes. We hope you and your family are safe at this time, and thank you for joining us. I just wanted to introduce myself, James Grigson, Asia Pacific Business Development Manager for Fusion Sport, and I'll be co-hosting this webinar session with Carolyn Seng. She's a Smartabase consultant. Caroline worked for about 1.5 years as an analyst at the Broncos and spearheaded their Smartabase development. And those skills obviously came in handy as she was able to transition into a role at Fusion Sport. She's been with us for just over 1 year now and has been working with a lot of our clients, particularly around professional sport. I also want to send a warm welcome to people across the pond and across the countries. We've got people attending this webinar in here from India, China, New Zealand, and of course Australia. So welcome to our international guests as well. So today, what we're trying to do is look at specific workflows in and around daily screening and monitoring of your soldiers, athletes, or dancers. So we're looking at one specific workflow, kind of the do's and don'ts, and Carolyn's going to really lean on her experience here with her clients in articulating that for you. Some new enhancements that we have in this space, and some things that you might be able to take back to your organization to streamline that daily monitoring of your individuals. Also wanted to extend a welcome to our current clients. Thank you for joining us. Some of this will be similar to if you attended our Human Performance Summit last year. It'll be a similar type of flow to that. We won't be getting in for our current clients. We won't be getting into the back end of the system. We'll be really going through some highlights and overviews and new features that we think will benefit you. And of course, for people that aren't with the platform, some best practice advice for what to do when you're monitoring your athletes, whether you're using Smartabase or you're using some other tools to monitor your athletes. Just some quick housekeeping. We're going to be taking questions through the Q&A functionality on Zoom. So in your sidebar, whether it's on the right-hand side or the bottom, please feel free to type in some questions there. If applicable and really burning, we might jump to them during the Q&A. But what we want to do mainly is structure this in a way so we have 20 minutes of online air where Carolyn's talking through some of these workflows. And then we'll leave the last 10 minutes mainly for questions. So feel free to bank them up and we'll get to them towards the end of the session. So without further ado, really what we're going to look through today is the workflow of daily monitoring. So from left to right, in a lot of environments, it's going to look something similar to this, where depending on your organization and your culture, you may look at a morning or a first thing type collection, typically done via a mobile application. Then you may or may not be looking at collection inside of your facilities. And then you also may be looking at third-party API integration and collection for monitoring in that aspect. And then, of course, the visualization where you can then begin to inform your decision-making based off of the info that you are seeing. So I'm going to hand it over to Carolyn now, who's going to talk through our first aspect here, which is the morning daily collection and monitoring.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to show you our athlete app. So as a former client, this is an app that was really exciting for me. We used to have an old Smartabase app, but this is an app designed particularly for athlete collection. So something that I really struggled with as a client was compliance, and with the different players that I used to work with, they always had every excuse to not log in and just saying, my phone doesn't work, I can't remember my password and whatnot. So Athlete App makes this really, really, really seamless. So when you log in, you can use Face ID. So James is going to click and show us what that looks like. It's going to pick James's face up. So if you don't have an iPhone 10 or later, or you have an Android phone, you can also use a PIN to log in as well. So we'll wait for that to load. Cool, so you can see it's going to pick James's face up and then we're in. So straight away you can see there's we've got William on there, so just a little engaging piece. And then we've also got an add data button. So if you have a form that you really want your individuals to fill out often, you can also add this into the favorite section down below. So you can see in the favorite section, we've got a COVID form and we've got a wellness form. So James is going to click on that wellness form. So here we're just going to show you an example of a wellness form. So for those who don't know Smartabase very well, just to keep in mind that this form is completely customizable and you can change up these questions. Obviously, we understand there are different organizations here, different disciplines, so you can come up with these questions and we can put them in these kinds of formats. So something that I really like about our sliders in the Athlete app is we can color them up. So James is going to start sliding across. So you can see from a really simplistic point of view, we can color these up to give the athlete a bit more direction as to what options mean what. So you can see on the bottom of each slider, we've got some actual text directives. So at one end, we've got worse than normal, and at the other end, we've got better than normal. And then as you actually slide, you've got some more options and directives to tell you what everything means. So if you scroll down, so here's an example of some muscle soreness. So we have a really cool body area diagram question type that we can pop in. So here the individual can go and click any sore areas. If you like, you could also have a little comments box as well to provide a little bit more detail. So this is my, this next part is my favorite part of the Athlete app. We recently made a really cool enhancement to include GIFs. So if anyone's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan or watches Brooklyn Nine-Nine, this is just a little GIF that you might want to put in to keep everyone engaged. So an example of where you might want to use this is, for example, just compliance. So if you might have a goal of 80% compliance in the last 2 weeks, we can put a little calculation in the back end. So depending on that number, we could display different GIFs. You can also have different ones display based off different options just to encourage your individuals. So in my experience, this is just a nice little element that you can add in at the end of your forms. And if you change them up, you can really keep your individuals coming back. James, you might want to unmute.
Hello. So this is, of course, an example of data collection that you would look to be doing prior to your individuals getting to your gym or your facilities. And what's quite relevant here is, as Carolyn said, we can have a number of different forms. Of course, current clients are aware of that, whether it be wellness or particular types of questions in relation to wellness. It could also be training load, it could also be some sort of training diaries. And just a relevant example in here is just a quick COVID-19 symptoms form. So looking at asking your individuals questions, whether they've been unwell, they traveled, flight numbers and things like that. And just a nice little addition in here is web links. So that blue underlined travelers and visitors hyperlink will take us to the page that we are sending our individuals to. In this case, obviously, the Australian COVID-19 Health Alert page. But it's always a nice way to keep informing your individuals as they're filling out their questionnaires. So what we're going to transition to now is when your individuals actually get to your facility. So if you're not a culture or a climate that enjoys or wants your individuals to be filling out information on the mobile, you may put those types of readiness or monitoring questionnaires on a tablet so it is the first thing that they see when they walk into your organization. In other environments, you may also want to utilize this tablet or what we call a kiosk mode for data collection around any sort of functional movement screenings or different types of data collection that you want to do on a day-to-day basis. And Carolyn will speak to this a little bit more, but we found the kiosk, as we call it on a tablet, a really nice way to promote quick and efficient data entry. So what we're imagining here, despite me being on a computer, is that this setup is a login that is on a tablet. You would use the web browser to log into the Smartabase on the tablet and be able to see a display just like this.
Awesome. So I do also have a lot of my clients not only using this on tablet, but also using this with touchscreen monitors. So if you have a static place in your facility where you would like to have your individuals come up, you don't necessarily have to use that tablet. You could also use it on desktop as we're using or with a touchscreen monitor. So we're just going to enter into Kiosk. So we're just going to show you what this looks like for someone who's entering in Kiosk. So straight away, you can see we've got a little engaging piece where you can pick your face. So if I'm Stephanie Bryant, just up the top, click on Stephanie. And here we're going to show you a quick example of just a readiness survey. So something that I really love about our kiosks is that we can have these little emojis that we can attach to that slider button. So just like you saw on the wellness app, the button was just colored up. Here we can actually put an emoji. So if you're a basketball team, you might want to put a basketball, or if you're in the Air Force, you might want to put a little fighter plane or something like that. So it's just another nice little piece of engagement there. So again, I think Kiosk just makes this really simple. It just provides a nice little centralized place for all your individuals to filter through. We find this particularly useful in group settings where you need to process a high volume of people. So we might show you another quick example. Another common use for this is weigh in, weigh out. So if you have a scale that's set somewhere in your facility, you can have that tablet sitting there and you can just have everyone pick their face and weigh in, weigh out after sessions. So you can really create this culture and process and routine within your individuals. So if they finish a session or they have to do this at the start of the session, you can have a place for them to do this. Cool.
In a number of different ways, it's obviously important to be collecting some passive information as well. So we've found that our third-party integrations have been of tremendous help to the people that we work with. So whether it be information that you want to be collecting passively from your individuals prior to them getting to your facility. So I'm talking about wearables such as Apple Health, the Apple Watch, Garmin, Whoop, Oura Ring, to be able to collect information like sleep data or waking heart rate. That's obviously crucial and something that has been implemented for a number of our clients. But of course, other third-party integrations, once the individuals get into your facility around any type of strength or mobility pieces, like the VALD integrations with the NordBord Force Decks and Groin Bar, and a couple of other more, I guess, longitudinal monitoring tools like your wearable GPS devices.
Yeah, sweet. So I thought I might just run you through. James kind of went through most of it just then anyway, but some really common integrations that a lot of our clients use for screening purposes. So we've got an integration with Apple Health Kit. So for example, if you have individuals using a lot of wearables, which have become really important in times like these, you can collect or passively collect that sleep duration. So the time that your individual went to sleep and woke up, and we can have that feed into Smartabase. We've also got other integrations like Oura Ring and Garmin. Again, passive wearables that we can have that data push in and even reduce the amount of data that needs to be manually entered by the individual. In terms of some musculoskeletal screening or screening tools, VALD is a really popular one. So for VALD, a lot of our clients use Groin Bar for groin squeeze, NordBord for hamstring strength, and Force Decks for jump testing or counter movement jump. And we also have a really cool integration with Kinduct or Gatorade scales. So this is just a Bluetooth scale. So if you're interested in automatically collecting this, we can push in the weigh in and weigh outs for athletes as well.
Awesome. And obviously the less intrusive, the better. So in a lot of cases, for a lot of cultures, so a lot of our clients really lean on these third-party integrations to ingest that information into the system. So we're just going to jump to our last piece here, which is obviously the sexiest element, I would say, in my opinion, which is the dashboard visualizations of this information. So the workflow that we've gone through so far is the individuals have filled out this information on the mobile application, or they've come into your facility, they've filled information out on the tablet or kiosk mode, and or they've been wearing an Apple Watch or some sort of wearable to give you third-party information. So now Kaz is just going to talk us through the dashboard that's on the screen here, which visualizes all this information, brings it together, and essentially brings it to life.
Awesome. So for those who don't know, this is our dashboard builder, or this is a dashboard that was built in our dashboard builder. So dashboard builder is a module where you can create dashboards using different widgets and different data sources. So in terms of widgets, you can see on the screen straight away, we've got some tiles for status, and we've got some tables as well. But essentially we have this really nice big widget library where we can add things like pie charts, scatter graphs, time series, and categorical charts and that kind of thing. And our plan is to keep expanding that library. And in terms of data sources, you can imagine before we showed you a wellness form. So that would be a data source. And then we also showed you that readiness entry on Kiosk. That would be another data source. So you can pick all these data sources and tie them into your dashboard to display what you would like to display all in one place. So the other thing that I really love from a client perspective is with the dashboard builder, Fusion puts this tool in your hands, and you can go ahead and you can create these dashboards on your own and make changes to them on your own, as well as the sports science team. So I'm going to show you, again, this is just an example. You can imagine this might not be your availability dashboard. You might want it in a different format, but this is just a really quick example to show you how I would like my availability and screening to be shown. So straight away, if I log in, and this could be my front page, I can see straight away I've got 23 people available. We've got some people who are modified and possibly maybe available for training, and then we've got some people who are unavailable. So you may, a lot of our clients have a few more statuses than this that might provide a bit more detail. So you might have some people who might be modified but still available to train, and then you might have some people who are modified but unavailable to do certain types of training. So we also have a really cool feature in dashboard. Our dashboard's called click-through. So if James clicks on available, for example, you can see a list of who's available. However, if I go and if James clicks on unavailable, you can see the pop-up has changed. So here we can customize each pop-up to give you a bit more context that's relevant to that tile. So you can see that we have a little bit more description of those injuries. So down below, we've got a summary of our entire group. We can see all the injuries and then all the statuses on the right-hand side to give us a little bit more context. Again, if you click on one of those lines in the table or any athlete, you can get a bit more information with that click-through card. Cool, so we'll X out of there. So we're just going to show you an example of a screening page. So we'll click on screening. So up the top, you can see you can add some little date filters. So James is going to just pick another date. And if you wanted to search for a particular athlete, you could also go into that athlete filter. You could select a couple of different athletes if you like, but we'll just X out of that for now. So for me, if I had this on my front page during screening, straight away, I can see there are some red flags. So I can see I've got some fatigue flags, stress, and everything looks red, like alarm bells. I need to go follow up with these people. So if we click on our fatigue flag card, we can see we've got 7 people with fatigue flags, and straight away I can see a bit of a breakdown. I can see who's flagged up. I can see what feedback they were given on their entry, and I've done this flag based off a decline status. So I've done a little calculation in the back end to say if I see that their status or their Z score declines, then I want their record to flag up for me. So again, you can think of how you might want to customize what you define as a flag for you. So if we scroll down a little bit, so this just gives us a quick view of our entire group. So if I'm running screening, I guess I want this dashboard to give me an indication of who I need to talk with, or or start a conversation with a different discipline. So for example, I'm a sports scientist. I might want to go to the physio or the welfare officer and say, hey, this person is fatigued and they're really stressed. We might want to follow up with them and see if they need some extra treatment. So the idea of these dashboards is to just keep it nice and simple and just give us these really quick insights to start that conversation with that individual or with another person in our organization. Cool. So if we scroll down a little bit, just go down. Yep, so this is just our musculoskeletal screening. Again, this is really simple. It's just to start that conversation. We can also tie all of this information together with our athletes. So if we were to go back up and pick a particular athlete or individual, we'll be able to have a look at their musculoskeletal screening and their wellness screening. Cool. So I think it's just really important to keep this all really simple. Another little workflow tip that I love about our dashboard builder is that ability to click through to a record. So if we, for example, click on the sit and reach flags and we want to go dig into the raw data of that person, we can go and click into Rosie Finch and we click go to record and we can see all that data and exactly how she's filled out that questionnaire. Sweet. Yeah, so I think it's really important to keep this build super simple, just so you can get all those quick little flags and you can talk between your disciplines.
So in terms of the journey of data that our information has come through, obviously we can see elements here from our monitoring form, whether that be from the app or the kiosk. We can see some elements in here from sleep durations. That's that passive information coming through from an Apple Watch or any type of wearable that is collecting that sleep information. And then it's giving me the ability of collecting that information before your individuals come into the session is, as Kaz alluded to, if we are seeing a number of different flags against a certain individual within our teams and cross departments, we can begin to start flagging with those people. So in Kaz's example, with people that are having fatigue, we can flag the welfare officer and say, hey, Francis, Jackson and Samuel will be coming to see you today, and beginning to kickstart the processes that we need to do inside of our organization before our individuals actually get to our facility. And then, of course, once they get to the facility, the data collection and populating a very similar type of dashboard visualization here to then do a very similar thing and prep people across different departments that they're going to be seeing people for sit and reach flags or groin squeeze flags or any sort of functional movement flags relevant. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we have for today. We wanted to keep this short and sharp. We wanted to open it up now to any questions. If you are new to Zoom, it's either on the right-hand side or the bottom of your screen, depending on whether you're on Mac or Windows. Please feel free to pop in any questions in here or raise your hand. Sean, you're on, mate. Please unmute yourself and feel free to ask the question. You're still muted there, Sean.
Got me now?
Yeah, we've got you now.
Hey everybody, thanks for it so far, James. Just a quick question around the athlete app. Current event forms we have already built. Is there anything we need to do to transfer them across to the athlete app, or are they good to go?
Cool. So there is a little permission in the backend or the builder side. So provided you have builder access, you can make that accessible to the athlete app. This permission does break it down into the old app, the new app, and then all platforms as well.
Sweet, thank you.
Cool.
And just for context, everyone, Sean's from the Australian Rugby Union environment, and yeah, Sean, I think Jack will be able to help you in organising that athlete app transition.
AFL, but close.
AFL, geez, sorry mate. Sorry mate.
Wow.
Wow. There's a fellow with a very similar name inside of Australian Rugby, and I know Jack's laughing at me now. Anybody else on the call would like to raise their hand or ask in the Q&A chat function? Okay, so if you have any further questions from this webinar, Carolyn and I, of course, are accessible. And then, of course, if you are current clients, then please feel free to reach out to your current Smartabase consultants. You can get me at james@fusionsport.com. And next Thursday, we'll be back here again. For our people in New Zealand, we're going to go an hour earlier, just so you don't have to be on here at 6 p.m. So we'll be your time. So we'll be on at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, so we can really accommodate everyone across our community in Asia Pacific. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, let us know. Have a great day.